I read four Neil Gaiman books in 2024. Coraline, Neverwhere, Anansi Boys, and Good Omens, although I read that because of Terry Pratchett. But that is why I think I am, what's that word? Allowed to talk about this subject. So let's begin. I'm in a fancy little co-working space. It might be a little echoey, so I apologize in advance if that's what's happening, but I like it because it's quiet right now, although there's no AC and I'm so freaking hot. But I got this like fake plant behind me, so that's kind of exciting. I realize I never introduce myself in these videos, so hi, I'm Sherry. Books are my life, and I love ranting about them because I'm obsessed. And ever so often, this subject comes up, and I feel like it's just a good time to talk about it because I make videos now. So let's talk about it. Things like this keep happening, and I'm not an authority figure on this type of thing. I barely read the allegations. I don't want to get into it because it makes me sick to my stomach. My opinion comes from just being a regular dude and wondering why things like this happen all the time and how we're supposed to feel when things like this happen all the time. Like, how do we process this? What's the right way? It's not really the right way, but like, what are the different opinions and getting into like all that. But like, what is it about famous people? Like, do you just become famous and become immediately an unsavory individual? Like, when I become famous, I'm not planning. I mean, as of now, there is literally nothing you can dig up on me. I don't have any hidden skeletons in my closet. I haven't done any awful things to talk about, but like, I don't know, maybe when I become famous, it just like poof, I start just being a sucky human being. I don't know. Artists and celebrities that we love, they'll create something and they turn out to be human, less than we thought. I think the problem can be boiled down to like overall two things, which is parasocial relationships and putting them on a pedestal. So the parasocial relationships, like you see someone and you think you know them, you think that they're your friend or that like you know everything about their life because everything about their life is online, and then you find out actually no, actually there's more to them, and actually they might not be such a good person because people aren't always good people, and just because you're famous doesn't make you a good person, and just because you've played, I don't know, and somebody on the big screen who is a good person doesn't mean you're that person. And the parasocial relationships is just really interesting. Like, obviously this has been going on for years now, but like how you could really develop a genuine feeling relationship with somebody who has no idea who you are, doesn't know your name, doesn't care about you, or if they do, only the vague sense of how much money can you make them. But it can be really disheartening to like come down from that high and be like, oh my God, like this person is just a regular human being. That's tough, you know? It's the same thing as like if I found out my best friend secretly, was hiding some bodies in various places around the woods, I'd probably be a little heartbroken, and then I'd get out my shovel and help them. But that stuff like that is just like, it's gotta change, and I don't know if it's going to change, but like it's not a good thing, And I might feel like that about some people that I'm obsessed with, but like I know it's wrong. But to the pedestal thing, the fact that some people have talent and they're automatically considered better, like better than other people without the talent. They're more important than people who don't have talent or show it in different ways. Like, the first time I read a Neil Gaiman book is actually American Gods. It was like, what, a year and a half, over a year ago, I think at this point. I think it was in 2023. And I didn't actually particularly like it. It was my first Neil Gaiman book. And I was like, oh, this is the guy everybody talks about. But I read it without any knowledge of any unsavory activities that he's been doing. And obviously that didn't affect me because I had no idea that it was happening, right? Regardless if I liked him or not, I had no reason to judge his books by anything but the books themselves. Does that make sense? Like, and then after you find out somebody's done something, should that change your perspective or your perception of the book? I don't know. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to explore today. That's my long-winded way of saying, well, the whole should art be perceived through the lens of the artist. How should you feel when something that you love was created by someone that turned out to be a monster. These allegations were just like, I kind of feel like they're being like swept under the rug or something. And again, allegations, no idea if he did them or not. Innocent until proven guilty, right? Although it's really hard because it's just hard to think like that, but I'll deal with that in a second. So like these, it might not be as big, but for those of us in the book community and for those of us who are obsessed with Neil Gaiman, I'm not part of that, but I did enjoy some of his books. But like I know there are some people out there who are like, wow, Neil Gaiman's books, they have changed my life. And yeah, I'm here to have my say about it. Literally nobody, just babbling on, talking about this and whatever. Let's talk about the views of when somebody does something bad, right? The first thing, people always go like, separate the art from the artist. You can like things that were created by bad people. Liking art does not mean that you condone their behavior. And like I was trying to explain like a second ago, you could have liked things before you figured out they were a bad person, and that doesn't mean you have to all of a sudden hate them. That's the first view. Like, you can still like those things and be like, well, they were created by someone that I don't agree with their opinions or who's done bad things, and you might not want to give them any more money, which is fine. Don't give them any more money, but like, you could still appreciate what they've done. I barely read into the allegations, partly because they make me sick, but also because as of now, they're allegations. He's still denying he's ever done that. He's still saying not guilty. He's still saying it's just a bunch of falsehoods. So me reading that, I will automatically side with the victim, especially in essay things. Like, as a woman, I feel like I have to do that. I feel so awful thinking about like, what if it was me? That I can't not side with them. So like the whole innocent until proven guilty, like that's why I don't want to get like super into it. Although obviously I couldn't resist seeing certain things. I couldn't hide certain things just from like the fact that I'm online. So because I don't know what happened, my views of his books haven't been tarnished yet, right? Now it's the same book. The same person wrote the book, but me and somebody else who has read it can see it in totally different ways. And that's kind of what art is. The writing hasn't inherently changed once they've been accused of something. Just your perception and your view of their art. That's the one side. But then there's the other side. I can't say better than this Reddit poster who just eloquently put into words what a lot of people might be feeling. I'm gonna link the whole thread below if you wanna like check it out, because I found it pretty interesting, just like the whole back and forth. But I'm gonna read just a little bit of it. In the wake of yet more Neil Gaiman allegations, I've seen a number of takes that seem to dismiss the pain that fans are feeling over the revelation that an artist they looked up to was secretly doing terrible things. This is, we're told, a good reminder to never get invested in celebrities as people. I think these takes are missing the point. Good art and good story in particular make us feel something, and that feeling creates a connection. For many of us, the words in a novel spoke to us at a time when we needed them. Sometimes they even continue to speak to us as we return to our favorite stories in times of stress or difficulty to feel the hope or comfort they spark. And it's a whole long thing, and I'm not going to read it. Go check it out if you want to read it. But it's basically, yeah, like you do feel a connection with an author when they've written something that really spoke to you, that really like touched your heart, because words can do that in the most amazing way ever. And that's what I hope to do one day when I write more books. But you want to create that connection. So like, yeah, this person has written something and has connected with you and has really spoken to you and has really like showed the truth of your feelings. And then you find out that they've done something like that. It's such a sucky feeling. And it's different than like an actor or a director or somebody, because like, I think an author is just an author, right? They're just you. They're just them and you talking from soul to soul. So it's hard to like really dismiss them being a monster. But also they went into specifically Neil Gaiman, how Neil Gaiman has always been like put himself forward as a feminist and like he's just like an ally and stuff like that. And he didn't turn out to be a bad person. He turned out to have just lied about who he was, which is worse, right? You could be like, oh, I didn't know you've done bad things, but also like, this is different. You turned out to not be who you said you were. So that I also hear. But again, I wasn't a huge Neil Gaiman fan, so I didn't even know this part about him. All I know is like every single author profile is like, he appreciates your offer of a comb, but he doesn't think it would help. And then I always just found amusing. I've always held strongly that what people do shouldn't affect their art. Obviously, if I knew beforehand, I might not choose to like get into their art, so to speak, like not even choose to consume something they've done. But like, you hear that, by the way? There's somebody talking in the office next to me. I hope it doesn't bother you because I'm recording a bunch of stuff right now, but hopefully not. If I have no clue who wrote something or don't care, and I'm just like reading something, well, then I consume what they've done. And if I found out afterwards, like, who cares? I still like what they did. I don't need to buy anything else from them. I don't need to give them any more money, but I still like their art. So that's how I always used to feel. But maybe now that I'm getting older, I might feel a little bit more towards like the other side of it. I do see the artist reflected in their art. How can I not? It also kind of depends on the work. Like, because I connect very strongly to words, music doesn't affect me the same way. Like, I find out an artist in the music industry like is not a good person. If it's a bop, it's still a bop, you know? But books are different. A book is somebody taking an idea that they had in their heart, in their mind, in their soul, and they're sharing it with the world. Maybe it's because I'm an author as well, but it hits deeper. At the end of the day, we don't know what happened. Neil Gaiman is still denying that anything non-consensual took place. I'm sure I'll remember what happened with Johnny Depp. He was a pariah. He was condemned by the media. The public hated him. He lost projects. And then it turned out to be just like a farce, just somebody who wanted revenge. And everybody ended up siding with him after a while. But like, he lost so much from that. We have to be careful about how we approach things like this to make sure we're listening to nuances, to make sure we're also respecting victims. It's so difficult when there's somebody who is a victim like this, because you want to, for sure, you don't want to ever think that they're lying, because everybody who comes forward with an accusation like this should be taken seriously. But at the same time, like, if that's true, then we also have to come down on liars hard, because they ruin it for the real victims. I wanted to give my piece because this has happened to people I actually do care about and people that do affect me. And when, like, Neil Gaiman isn't somebody that I've had a particularly strong connection with, nor do I think writes as well as Terry Pratchett, who he's sometimes lumped along with. Like, I mean, Good Omens, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, but Terry Pratchett is like, wow, Sir Terry Pratchett was just a wonderful, wonderful author who I can read, just crack up about all the time. And Neil Gaiman doesn't do it for me the same way, even though I still read him and still like enjoy some of his stories. Neil Gaiman isn't like always a 10 for me. Like, a lot of times he's like a 2 or a 3, while Terry Pratchett's like always just coming in so strong. But I still feel like it's an important discussion to have, an important discussion to keep in mind as we like, hey, how should we continue with this art, these books that we love that spoke to us? How do we go forward from this, and how do we make sure not to ruin people's lives as we do this? So tell me what you think. There's a couple different views here. How do you feel? Are you obsessed with Neil Gaiman? Are you one of the people that were affected by what he's done? And if so, how do you feel? Like, are you burning all your Neil Gaiman books? A while ago, I found out one of the children's authors that I loved when I was a kid was abusing the children. Like, he interviewed the children and found out that he was abusing the children, and a bunch of people were like, burn the books. And I was actually on their side. So yeah, maybe it's because I'm like, protect children at all costs. Or maybe there's just so much more to say on this topic and you can't just flat out give an answer. It's just hard to do that. I need more opinions. So give me your ideas. If I have more to say on this topic, maybe I'll make a part 2. Just to babble more, if people want any more of my opinions on the subject. And subscribe if you want more of my opinions, and if you just want to hear about books, because I usually just talk about books, or what's my usually. I literally just started this channel, but I'm still kind of figuring it out. It will be about books, mostly, because I am obsessed with books. So subscribe and like this video. Or don't like it, and let me know why in the comments, because I want to get better. So thank you. The end.